Hi, it's Neil Thomas here from Wedding Help NI, and we're at the Beachstones Hotel today. We're recording our podcast, and I am with the lovely Debbie from Celtri
Hi.
band.
Yes.
And Debbie, tell us a bit about yourself, how you get on the music, and I suppose then how Celtri came about.
Yep, I am Debbie, and I am the creator of Celtri. I have been playing music, God, my whole life. I think from the age of 8. Was that when you were
Right.
primary 5 in school?
So did you grow up in like a musical family,
No.
or how did that come
No,
about?
I am the baby of 5 siblings. And we all had kind of our niche areas of things that we did. And then growing up, I was coming in behind like older brothers and sisters who were like footballers or Irish dancers or athletes. And they're all very talented in their own areas. And I just hadn't really found my own niche. And in primary 5, there was a note came home and it was to whistle lessons.
Right.
So originally I was like, I don't know what this is. And my mum was like, do you want to sign up for it? And my older sister, Kim, was like, why would you want to do that for? Because I thought I was maybe going to go into sports or dancing. So I originally didn't go. And all my friends went. And then it was January time before I decided, actually, I'm missing out here. I want to go and I want to join in the crack. Fear of missing out and all that jazz. So I went to my first lesson. And of course, at this stage, the guys were already playing tunes. And I started and I had like no experience, but also I didn't want to just start playing the scale. So I remember that very first lesson, just kind of mimicking what my friends were doing, picking up the tune, listening to it. And I left that first lesson playing a tune. And I went home to my mum and dad and was playing it. It was called The Little Bag of Spuds. It's a well-known polka. And I just started playing that. And my mum and dad were like, is that normal? Should you be playing that so quickly? And from there on in, that was my love of music.
I suppose with music as well, it's such a great thing because whenever you're young, you can pick things up a lot easier than an adult trying to learn an instrument.
Yes.
So taking us on from the development then, of course you play different instruments.
I do.
Did you then study music or what way did that go?
Yeah. So very immersed in the Irish tradition. So I would say I pick a lot of my music up by ear.
Yeah.
So not the traditional kind of classical sheet music in front of you, or I can read music. I'm not dependent on it. I try to feel the music more than kind of, play what's in front of me. So I also play harp.
Yeah.
I also play the flute, and to whistle was my starting point, really. But no, I evolved. I just kind of developed throughout the years, the natural progression as you do. And even my teacher at the time, I was his first, so I went through all the grades.
Yeah.
Up to like a grade 8. And then I was his first student that he ever put through like the music diploma.
Right.
So I was kind of like we laugh, I was his like test dummy for that.
Yeah.
And I achieved at the age of 16 my music diploma.
Right.
So then even when I was in school, my very first student that I taught myself, I was a lower 6th in school. She was a first year in school.
Right.
And we used to go through the corridors, just like, hi Debbie, being shy. And that was Emer. So she was my first music student then. So I kind of evolved into becoming a music teacher myself. And then the idea or the inspiration for Celtri I had played in weddings. My first ever wedding was at the age of 10.
Right. So there you go. There you go.
Yeah. It was my Aunt Mary. Hi, my Aunt Mary. It was one of her neighbours or her friend. And they asked me to learn a specific piece of music. So it was a tune called Sleeve Namon on the Timistle, and to come and play it as a solo at their wedding, which I did as a wee young tyke at the age of 10. And I think I was just totally captivated. I fell in love.
Did you find, I suppose, the Irish music as well, I suppose growing up as well, it's not something that somebody young is going to be, they're going to be listening to pop music and rock music or whatever else. How did you find that? Did you just sort of,
well, there is a bit of
did you find it hard to learn?
Well, I mean, and again, you're completely right. So I was a normal teenager, loved my pop music, loved my rap. Eminem was like my thing too. And then, Irish music. But if I look back, we did quite a lot of road trips in Ireland during the summer. So my mum and dad, we would have travelled down to County Offaly, to Tullamore, Daddy would have always had the Dubliners on in the background.
Right. So you had
I
that bit
was
of inspiration too.
listening to these tunes, the stories, and I always would have picked them up and been able to sing them. And again, my older siblings were like, "How do you know all the lyrics to that?" And I'm like, "How do you not?" You know, they're played
but
constantly
I'm
in this
sure
car.
that really helped, because I know, like, I started out in music
Yep.
before I got started on all different styles of entertainment. And I know whenever I started out in like a country two-piece band.
Yes.
I didn't know country, like it was just that. So I had everything was learning.
Yeah.
But having that but in the background, I suppose, growing up, hearing the Dubliners, you were able to expand on that a lot easier, maybe.
I feel that it flows in my veins.
Yeah.
You know, I feel the music. I feel the connection with the music and the songs. So even if I'm playing tunes like Raglan Road, for example, I can hear Luke Kelly singing that.
Yeah.
Do you know, and people, even when my brides or our couples are booking Celtri, they're like, we can just feel so much emotion in the playing.
Yeah.
And it's because I feel it when I'm playing myself, you know, and
Yeah.
there's been one or two times I played at a wedding. There is a funny story to it in the background, but we were playing a piece of music that the bride and groom had requested for their entrance. It's a Christy Hennessy song called Roll Back the Clouds.
That's a beautiful song, so it's a lovely song.
This is what they asked for now. And again, a big childhood song for me too. So we rocked up to the church beforehand. We're always there an hour beforehand, and we start rehearsing through the music. And it was just so bloody gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I started to cry. So there's also our guitar player and our fiddle player. So there's Pete and there's Mairead. And they were kind of like, "Oh, are you okay?" Because I wouldn't normally cry, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, "It's just so beautiful." So Pete ran out and got tissues, came back in. I'm dabbing my eyes. This is all before guests and things arrive, you know.
Yeah.
So I was just a wee bit emotional that day, and it was gorgeous. And we played the wedding and everything. And a week or two later, I found out I was pregnant.
Right.
So I think my emotions were just all over the place. But then I was like, now I know why I cried. It was beautiful too, but I genuinely do feel that I have like a connection with the music while I'm playing.
I have a couple of questions. Do you know what? I'm going to hit on this one first, and then I'm going to sort of roll back on a saying. I'll roll back the clouds. Very good, you know.
Yes.
But I'm going to hit on this one. For couples who might not know, like, you know, that can be hard too, because they might not know. There's a lot of songs there, like say it would be Christy Hennessy or something. You're not going to know a lot of his, you know, as a couple they might not know. I'm sure you're recommending a lot of songs a lot of the time as well.
So Celtri have been together now for 25 years.
Right.
So we've got, I would say, a breadth of music and wedding industry experience, but more crucially, like a real depth. So we've refined the process so much so over the years to take all the stress away from our couples.
Yeah.
And we do that by being experts and being able to guide with the music, know if the selections are going to work or not. So obviously we have our arrangements of popular songs like Canon and D and the usual ones that you would expect to hear. And like our music is on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's played all over the world. And we have even couples in different countries say to us, we've walked up the aisle to Canon or we've, you know, and then obviously we have our live music option too. But for me, we will have brides come and we have like this is your wedding ceremony, depending on what type of ceremony it is. If it's, you know, a civil ceremony, if it's a church wedding, we will have that packaged up and we will have options. And I send through like a sample list to say, here is your sample, underline sample. You come back to me with your selections.
It's one of them things, and you know, like, well, it'd be Irish traditional music and stuff, that you might as a person just go into a bar and you're listening, but you really don't know the music unless you're somebody that's playing it week in, week out. You know, you'll go and you'll enjoy Guinness. And it's more that experience. So I suppose that's really important, that you can help the couples as well decide that music.
But also let them know when something's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I think that's crucial then too. So we will have stuff that's just going to be gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, we can give a list and here's tunes that are popular, and then also, can you learn something new? Yes, let me hear it. And if it's something that's doable, we will do it and it'll be gorgeous. And I won't compromise in quality that way. You know, if something's not going to work, for example, Elton John's Your Son, gorgeous song, everybody knows it, right?
Yeah.
And if there's a singer with us, great. You know, it's a little bit funny, that feeling inside. But if you take that back to what the music is, that's one note for most of that. B,
Yeah.
B, 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 B. So if I go to play that on the timissel, it's not going to translate as well.
Yeah.
So you need the lyrics. So for that, I would be going, okay, well, we'll need a singer for that.
And that can be a thing of looking at the makeup of the band.
Yes.
Do you know where
Yep.
a couple might say, "Oh, I love this song," but the actual makeup of the band, it's just not going to work for
The
what you're
genre
trying
is
to do.
so important. You know, people will have that vision. So you might have, you know, people who are connected with Lord of the Dance or Riverdance, or they're, you know, they've kind of came up as Irish dancers, or they just have like that infinitive connection with, but they've chose Celtri for a specific reason, and they know what they're hearing whenever they're listening to it. So for Lord of the Dance, for example, we played a beautiful wedding last year in St. Paul's, and she wanted Lord of the Dance, that really iconic, well-known piece of music for her bridesmaids walking up, but then it transitioned into a slip jig for her. And again, part of our craft is to time that so right. You know, so I'm downstairs beforehand while the bride and, you know, the photographs are happening and all of that stuff, but then I'm having a quiet moment to say, okay, there's 6 bridesmaids here.
Yeah.
It's going to be long. But then I'm also telling them, walk slow. And then I'm saying to the bride, listen, wait for your piece of music. Don't feel rushed.
Yeah.
We will wait till we see the last. So we were at the back. We were up on the balcony at the back. I says, we will wait to see your last bridesmaid go into the pew. And then we will do a transition. And it'll be very obvious. You know, and it's just those kind of details to the day that, you know, that they've imagined, they've created in their head. And then it's our job to make sure that becomes reality.
Through,
Yep.
So tell us, how did the band come about, or how did you all meet? And
yeah, so Celtri was formed. So I said I started playing music as a young child, and I kind of played at a couple of weddings myself as a soloist. And it was more like neighbours, friends, family, people who knew I could play and asked. And then I formed friendships with other musicians over the years. So whenever I was younger, I was very, very fortunate to be part of a wider music group. And we toured all over the world, you know, we've been to loads of different countries and things. And then I met Mairead through school. We went to the same school together. So she is our fiddle player. So naturally, again, just playing together and having that instant connection as musicians tend to do. And then Pete, who is our guitar player, actually we met Pete a bit later. So he didn't go to the same school or anything, but it was my brother-in-law was also in a wedding band too.
Right.
And he's a well-known comedian now, actually. So it was Paddy who kind of introduced us to Pete, and it was more just as a friend.
Yeah.
And then at a family party, Pete started playing guitar. And he's a drummer, and he's also a sound, you know, technician. He travels all over the world doing sound
And
for
did he
bands.
come from a background of the Irish?
Not Irish traditional, no, like heavy metal, kind of like rock, all of that. So completely different genre.
I suppose for him now, he's not here to answer. That would have been maybe a harder
He loves it.
transition because you grew up with it, as you said, you grew up with it.
He had to learn it,
and you know, it's such a, you know, as I said, Irish music. It's such a big. You know, people don't realise how big of a.
It's massive.
You know,
and I suppose like the dance shows, there was a huge part, you know, in Lord of the Dance, Riverdance, kind of making that global kind of presence, and people all over the world really, really enjoying and loving the music and appreciating it. But of course, the Irish are all over the world too, so that kind of happened by natural osmosis.
You'll see that sort of thing as well. You know, like I come from Derry, so I sort of know, like, you know, like if the likes of Godore and Donegal and all, you would have all that sort of
the Gaeltacht region.
Do you know which that music's massive, you know, the likes of Clannad and stuff like that. So there's a massive sort of industry there as well, you know, and people, it might be a bit niche, but it's worldwide.
Oh, it's
worldwide.
know,
so it might be a bit niche in Ireland, but it's really worldwide. Like Clannad's toured around the world, you know. But for somebody like Pete, who was coming under that,
so Pete had to really immerse himself
in it. That must have been so difficult.
Absolutely, you know. But he would be one of the best guitar players, and he would kill me for saying this, absolutely, because he's so lovely and humble. But I remember hearing him for the first time at a family party and going, "Wow!" Do you know, like his ability to finger pick.
Yeah.
got, so I suppose with that background in like electric guitar and being able to play the melodies of tunes, and then coming into Irish traditional and kind of being sent a wee bit of homework to come back.
Yeah.
Like even, and it's not Irish traditional, but our canon and D arrangement is quite well known. Like his opening, he opens that on guitar, and his ability to pick through those notes and just to play it, and it's just crisp. And I would always say, like, he is whenever I'm playing, I get so much comfort playing with Pete, because he just gets it, he just knows it. And like, you know, whenever we play, kind of everything just comes together as one. But it's having that affinity, I suppose, you know, playing with loads of guitar players my whole life growing up.
Yeah.
Just that connection then whenever I first met Pete, and going, wow, that's special.
Pete and the guitar, Mairead and the fiddle.
Fiddle, yeah.
Yourself and the tin whistle.
The whistles.
And is that the makeup of the
That's
band?
Celtri. That's Celtri. That's the
absolutely
3-piece.
Fantastic. And did you find them putting that all together? You know, people going to like a pub, and I'm thinking of a pub I know in Derry.
Yeah.
And you know, you might have 3 musicians just sitting together, and it just looks, or you know, somebody joins in and it just looks flawless.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
it does, but there's so much practice in that in order to get that to that level.
I always say there's years and years of experience behind making something look easy.
Yeah, and you know, like I actually know a fiddle player. There's a fiddle player in Derry I know really well. A guy called Robert Peoples. I don't know if you know Robert, but you know, I seen Robert just gelling with stuff. Well, you know, and he would be mainly Irish traditional, but I've seen him, you know, where he's worked with Daniel Donald, and he just gels in with that.
But
and
you'll find
it shows the level.
Totally,
It shows the level of
his of his craft and his
I
musicianship.
Think people don't realise that as well, and they don't maybe realise the effort goes into making that sound so good as well. And it's the same with Celtri. They don't realise, I suppose,
I think
the effort in that.
You know, and you're 100% right, and it is part of our tradition, in that it is kind of an oral tradition. So our music was learnt and taught by, we would say, you know, by playing by ear. And it was very much like a travelling tradition, in that, you know, the music that was maybe taught in Kerry, by the time that music got to Belfast, it was like a massive game of Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
So one tune that might be, you know, known and taught in Kerry, by the time it gets to us now, it'll still be in essence the same tune.
Yeah.
But it might be slightly tweaked or changed in a way, you know, and there's different parts of Ireland.
It's not a school sort of thing. It's a thing of, you know, travelling around, I suppose, as well, and learning that. You know, like going to somewhere in Kerry or going to somewhere in Cork, you know, or any part of the country, you know, you're learning these wee bits, storytelling, that culture. It's not actually it's not like you can't go into a school learn that.
No,
it's a culture.
It
you know,
is.
And whether it be storytelling, whether it be music, it's all part of that.
Yeah.
You know, so I suppose different as well.
It is, and I mean, this year alone, the biggest event in the Irish traditional calendar is coming to Belfast, the Flag Cool.
We already had it in Derry, so it.
Yes, so we've had it in Derry for 2 years.
We had it in 2013, of course.
You know, absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. You know, normally, traditionally, it would be in the south of Ireland. You know, it's came up to Derry, and now it's coming to Belfast for 2 years, and it's just phenomenal for, you know, our kids and everybody now growing up through you know, it's becoming so much more popular and much more prevalent now, to be able to experience that in the city of Belfast, and to see that for that week in August. So we're all really, really looking forward to it.
How did you find the wedding market, or how did you find sort of coming into that wedding market as, I suppose, a different brand, you know? You know, how did you find bringing that in, setting it up as a business then in weddings? How did you find that?
And again, it was quite organic. It was there was no massive big, you know, business thought or idea behind it. It was rather, we 3 love playing together.
Yeah.
Let's get together in a recording studio and see kind of what the output of that is, you know. And I had the background in weddings myself, so I had kind of a bit of an idea of like what tunes are being requested time and time again. Mairead is also in a big global music outfit herself, so she would tour over to Nashville, she would go all around the world. Pete likewise has the same experience, and coming together, the 3 of us into the recording studio, we kind of had a bit of a vision as to what we wanted the sound and the arrangements to come together and sound like. So we had like a core set list of tunes that we wanted to put down, but that does not mean that our set list is limited. to that kind of those recordings. You know, it's so much more fast. You know, there'll be thousands of tunes in our repertoire. So we kind of put down like a core kind of 10 tracks. And then I also have a background in technology. So I created our website. And we just kind of put it up there and just to see how it would go. You know, we got our first booking way back in 2000. And I remember the wedding itself, they asked for like this beautiful piece of music called Arioso, which I didn't know, you know, so we went and we learnt it, and then we recorded like our Celtri version of Arioso, and it's gorgeous and it's quite well known now, you know, but it's putting that Celtic or Irish traditional slant on a well-known piece of classical music. And again, that was one of those instances where I was like, okay, I don't know it, I'm not familiar with it, but that's not a no. Let me take it away and listen. And if we can do something that's going to really stand out and be beautiful on the day, then I'll say yes, because I don't want to compromise that quality. I want to make sure that the piece of music that you've selected or something that's unique to you, that, you know, it can kind of be amplified through the Celtri instruments.
Where did the name come about, or how did you decide that?
It was my brother-in-law who kind of came up with the name. So it's a wordplay. So it's Celtic Trio,
right? And
then tree is 3 in Irish.
There you go.
So Celtic Trio, Celtri, and that was it.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
What part of the day, or what you know, obviously ceremony, but do you do like afternoon and drinks reception, or what would be your popular packages?
Ceremony and pre-dinner are our 2 areas. So for the ceremony, you know, and the way I always say it is like, you know, your music is like the emotional architect of the day, you know, so you'll remember food, you'll remember entertainment, and music is very much part of that. So from the ceremony, we will arrive and we play as guests arrive. So we'll set up and do our sound check, make sure like we have our own PA system, make sure everything's going to sound like flawless in whatever setting the wedding's taking place. And that could be outdoors also, it could be a forest wedding or whatever. So we'll always make sure we're there just to make sure the sound quality is going to, you know, deliver right to the ferry back, and that the bride can hear our entrance. And then we'll start to play as guests arrive. So the bridal entrance, all of the pieces that you would expect. And then that's very, you know, emotive. And it's like, you know, creating that atmosphere, that perfect atmosphere for the wedding ceremony. And then our pre-dinner, the whole kind of, there's a shift in the playing. It becomes more upbeat. It would be like the traditional Irish trad session that you would go into a bar, and you would expect to hear those fast-paced, you know, those reels and jigs, and so there's like a shift between, okay, this is like the ceremony,
create a great atmosphere too, but that sort of, you know,
it creates that buzz.
And reels,
you know, everybody's
stuff,
going over to the bar, they're getting their drinks, there's a trad session playing in the background, and it becomes, okay, the party has started.
I think especially in maybe a venue that you wouldn't, you know, you expect that in like a wee country pub, but to maybe have that in a modern city venue or somewhere, you know, it just can bring it alive.
Totally. And we played in the Titanic Hotel just a few months ago, and they said to us in advance, for our pre-dinner, we're going to bring in a couple of Irish dancers. Do you mind playing the music? And it was like, of course not. You know, that's what we do. So there was a whole big kind of almost like I wouldn't say Keely, because Keely's the wrong, that's a different service completely, but it was like, you know, almost like a dance show. So these dancers were coming in and they put on this show, and we accompanied them in the background, and it was great. So
you're interested in hiring a new member now to Celtic? And
I have brought you a gift.
So you're ready for my audition? You're ready to no, I'm not ready for it at all. But
so this is the Tamistle. This is the Irish Tamistle.
So tell me, is there different tunings? So is this tune this is D? This is D.
This is a D Tamistle. So you'll generally get.
Very clever saying
that. You really did. I'm very impressed.
But Peter's so impressed over there. Stop up, Peter, like you know.
So you'll get your whistles will come in different sizes, and those different sizes represent the different keys of the whistle. So yes, you'll have to have like a full range of different whistles whenever you go out on the day.
Right. So you would on the day you would have.
Oh, on the day I have a.
My goodness! And is there a certain then like an Irish whistle? Is this
They're all the same. They're
They're
all just
all the
different
same.
keys. Yes, they are.
There
But
you
then
go.
you'll get like the low whistles that like would have that deeper kind of mellower flute sound.
Yeah.
But then the D whistle, this is like the whistle that most people would pick up and
And are
learn.
these traditional sort of iron,
Yep.
or would they be a different? Perfect. Right.
No, they're two whistles. They're Irish
Perfect.
instruments.
So,
What do you do?
What do I do? What do I
Okay,
do?
yep.
Yeah.
So first things first, you're going to put your right hand to the top, no, left hand, sorry, to the top.
Left hand, yeah.
And you're going to cover thumb to the back of the first hole.
Right thumb to the back of the first one. Yeah.
And you're going to put your first finger on the top note, next note down, and next note down. So that's the top three fingers. And then your pinky does nothing. And then your next thumb goes under the fourth hole down. So
Right,
bring
next-
that hand, see your the other hand that's at the
Yeah.
top?
Yeah.
Bring that down.
Bring that
The whole way down, the whole way down to the next. There you go. And you're going to place the thumb behind the fourth note.
Fourth note. Yeah.
That's you. And then you're just going to put those three fingers.
Three fingers. Yeah.
That's you. Perfect. And that is bottom D. Now you're going to blow really soft. There's your note there. Okay. And then lift one finger off for E. There it is. So see if there's any gaps at
any
all.
gaps,
Do you
yeah.
see,
Yeah.
hear that?
Yeah.
So make sure those fingers are completely on that E note and blow it again. There it is. One up to F. Gorgeous. Another finger up to G. Three fingers on. A.
Oh.
Two fingers, yeah. B is the top finger. And blow it a wee bit, just a wee bit soft. Yeah. There you go. So people would actually be surprised by how soft
Yes. Yes.
that blowing is, and then it's whenever you get into the higher octave then that it's a wee bit more dynamic.
There's a lot to that.
There's a lot to it.
There was me hoping that I would be, like the
Flying.
trombone patties
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
I was just going to do a bit of singing and journey.
Yeah.
And get
Well, I'm
myself
going to check
into-
in a week's time. You're going to get homework.
I was just hoping to do the way I am, and then just be sort of go through the, when they get me start or
Well, as I say, it'll be
I'm
maybe another 20 years before you'll get that flawless stuff.
but I should be ready to go.
You'll be
then,
ready,
so I should-
ready to go. We'll check back in on you then.
Perfect. Tell us, where can we find out about yourselves? What's the easiest way to get in touch and stuff?
So Celtri have a website, so it's www.celtri.co.uk. Then we're on the socials. So we have Facebook, we have Instagram. I relented and we've joined TikTok too because everybody kept sending me, are you on TikTok?
Become so popular, so it has TikTok. It really has,
And I was really just trying to keep it like contained to not have too much platforms.
I think it's one of them age things as well, because I was with TikTok, I was like, oh no,
don't wanna do it.
something else off these.
I know, it's like all these apps on my phone, I was trying to declutter rather than add more. But we're on TikTok now also. So
And it's all Celtri music, just
Celtri wedding music, or Celtri. It'll just be a variation of the two.
Brilliant. Booking wise as well, how far in advance should you be thinking about booking?
Oh my gosh. So we actually have, I looked this morning, we have a booking for 2029.
My goodness.
2028 is starting, especially summertime is starting. There's inquiries coming through and there's bookings starting. We have an American couple who are coming across and they checked in with us first to see what available dates there were before they actually went and booked their venue.
I suppose the destination, the destination weddings were, they're becoming so popular, like the likes of Carber Castle, Darver, the castles are really
Bellingham,
appealing.
yep.
And I suppose you are really, with
So
couples
suited.
coming in from America or different places, they want that, they want that Irish feel and stuff.
Yes.
So that's a massive market, I'm sure.
And well, she was very, adamant. She was like, Celtri, you have to be booked. We need to make sure you're available. So here's kind of the different options. And does that kind of coincide with Celtri's diary too? So we were able to get a date in, but she's 2028. So she's nice and organised.
Yeah.
And for me, Celtri are a three-piece. There's the three of us and that's the band. There's nothing worse than sending out that email of, I'm so sorry, we're not free on your date.
Yeah.
We try, we look, but
Yeah.
it's a one wedding a day for us.
And is there anywhere the couples can hear you? Do you do any turn dates or do you do any dates that couples can follow
We
along?
probably would have done it back when we started.
Yeah.
You know, there was more kind of flexibility and availability, and you know, over the
I think
years,
it's the same, and like I know even myself, it's the same sort of, that entertainment scene isn't as much as what it was. Other, you know,
no,
it's
absolutely,
just not there.
I
Other,
find, you know, quite a lot of our bookings it'll be people who have heard us previously.
yeah,
You know, they've heard us and they've came up and asked for our card afterwards at a wedding, or they've found us organically and they like our sound online too. But in terms of like promotion and things, I don't find that we need to do it as much as what we would have done whenever we were first starting out. And even in terms of like us ourselves as musicians, you know, that kind of session scene and being out playing at nighttime and things, just as we've grew older, you know, that's kind of nipped on the bud now, and we're playing more like specifically at events and weddings, and it's very much kind of like that daytime.
yeah. And of
offering.
course, you're award winning.
We're award winning, yes.
You're award winning.
We
How have you found the Wedding Help platform?
Brilliant.
How have you
It's
found
been,
it?
and again, that's another organic source. Then it's like got such a massive footfall of, you know, clients and potential brides and grooms looking every single day, asking questions on that platform. And now, of course, we've got the website too, as
especially with a niche, I think, like yours as well. Like a niche, it's very beneficial, because it's one of them things that a lot of couples don't know where to, and you'll see it asked a lot.
I think even from Celtri's perspective, and I know Chris will say the same, we probably don't use the platform as much as we should, you know, and putting out. But I think that's me, and that's not being on top of my social media game.
It can be hard too, you know, it really can be hard.
It is, especially when you're in, and I see quite a lot of the times the inquiries, especially during summertime, that busy period for all the suppliers, you know, the Northern Ireland wedding industry, the breadth of offerings we have across all of the different you know, parts of the day, you know, our cake suppliers, our wedding dresses, but our entertainment, I think it's probably the widest offering opportunities across the whole of the UK in Northern Ireland itself. But I find quite a lot of the time I would be seeing queries coming in saying, you know, God, I can't get my vendor, I can't get a hold of them. And it's just so super busy. And I think that's something to always bear in mind during the summertime, is that, you know, you could have like 4, 5, 6 weddings in
on a row, and you're literally, it's a travel and stuff and everything involved in it as well.
There's so much involved in it. And from a music perspective, you know, our process will be 1 month in advance. We will confirm your music. And, you know, you'll have some brides and grooms who are so much more, like, they're more proactive, and they've probably got their music like organised from months in advance. But I would say like the cutoff point for us is that month in advance. That means if there's any new pieces of music that we need to learn, that gives us time to do it. And then naturally then we'll be in contact like just on the run up to the big day. But that's one thing I would say to reassure couples in general, is that once you have that date in the diary with Celtri, we're always there from a communication perspective, but it's like that month in advance would be like we're reaching out. Here's your set list, and we need confirmation of this.
Brilliant. I think there's lots of information there, and I suppose the best way for couples is check out all the socials. You know, build a picture and see if it suits you.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think there's lots of, and then if the couples are interested, then do they just say featuring deal? Is it Celtri featuring deal? If they want, they book along with me.
I think that's the future for Celtri. That's phase 2 in the operation. But yeah, no, wonderful. And you know, that's probably one of my favourite weddings, is being out all of the different kind of vendors that you see time and time again, you know, the photographers, the videographers, the cake, you know, we all see each other behind the scenes. Whenever you arrive, there'll be the florist will be already kind of setting up the church. They'll be doing all the decorations, you know, and then we'll be practicing beforehand. And so it's behind the scene.
I think it's a great network, but even to have that bit of at times, if you have a question as well, for us, we have our background chats with, you know, with all our vendors and all. Because you're running a small business, and it can be hard as well. So that all helps too.
It can be hard, but it's really, really important I mean, it doesn't happen very, very often, but last summer, Celtri is an instrumental group, but we will also accompany singers. So if you've booked a singer in addition, that's grand. We're happy to accompany. Now, this particular singer got in touch with us the day before to say that she had food poisoning.
Right.
So sick. And she was just like, I can't see tomorrow happening. And it was quite late on.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like managing Celtri. I'm the one who has the relationships with our couples. I really take every single wedding like it's my own and treat it like it's my own, and I get very, very emotionally connected with it. So what do I do the night before a wedding? Do I phone my bride and groom and worry them that their singer's not going to turn up? Or do I reach out to the wedding help community and see is anyone available tomorrow, short notice, to come and sing, and here's the set list? And that's exactly what I did, and we were able to get another singer to come along.
It's brilliant, so it is,
you know, and she was so thankful and grateful. Then, you know, a few days later, and she was just like, thank you for organising that, because that would have been my worst nightmare the night before my wedding, to think that my music wasn't going to transpire the way that she'd designed it. Yeah. And I think that's where, you know, the wedding help is so much more than just a platform. It is that community. And, you know, we as vendors get to know each other, and we can reach out. And if there's ever anything that's needed, like, you know, we all have each other's back, really.
You know, I'm there now anyway, so you do. So
this is it.
There's no panic.
This is it, Dale. If I need a whistle player, if I get food poisoning,
just 20 years time.
20 years time, I will be on the phone.
Thank you so much, David. There's
pleasure.
lots of information there, and I really enjoyed that chat. So did I. Really enjoyed learning something new as well. So thank you so much. That's it for this episode. Thank you, and bye for now.